Alright, this is Mr. Ring for Geometry Quiz number 17 on February 27, 2015. Question number 1. You're asked to do this Ken. Remember, you need to use the numbers 1 to 3. They can't repeat in a column or a row. Two numbers, when I subtract them together, equal 1. That's 3 and 2. Put 3 here and 2 here. That means I need a 1 here. Two numbers that multiply to be 2 are 1 and 2. The number that's missing in this one is 3. Two numbers over here that multiply together to be 3 are 1 and 3. So I have the numbers 1 to 3, no one is repeating. And 3 and 2 and 1, if I add those numbers together, equals 6. Question number 2, in the diagram below, ray BD bisects angle ABC. So you can just put these congruent marks here if that helps you. And the measure of angle AC is 23. So the whole thing is 23 degrees. What is the measure of angle ABD? Well, each of those would have to be 11.5. 11.5 plus 11.5, those are exactly the same or congruent. That'll add up to be 23. Question number 3, just fill in the missing boxes here. This is an example of vertical angles, and the equation is blank equals blank. Question number 4 says consecutive or same side interior angles, and I have here my parallel lines cut by the transversal, and my angles 3 and 4 here are on the inside. That's why it's called interior, and they're consecutive because they're on one side of the transversal. My equation is angle 3 plus angle 4 equals 180. Question number 5, there's just could have had a bunch of things like vocabulary words or pictures, and I asked you to do angle 3 equals angle 4. You can do something like, I don't know, corresponding angles. Remember, in order for corresponding angles to be congruent, A and B have to be, lines A and B have to be parallel. So this would be an example of corresponding angles. Question number 6, angles 4 and 5, that's a linear pair. That's 4 plus 5 equals 180. Question number 7, BT is perpendicular to HD. So here's BT perpendicular to HD. Remember, any of these angles here, let's just say this was D right here. Perpendicular lines form right angles, and right angles are 90 degrees. So your equation would be any of these angles, HDT or HDB would be 90 degrees. Turn to the back side. Think of each segment in the diagram as part of a line. Fill in the blank with parallel, skew, or perpendicular. AB and DC, those are parallel, they'll never intersect. AB and BC, notice how it forms there a right angle or perpendicular. BF and FG, although remember this is three-dimensional, so that's actually still perpendicular. And AB and FG, those are an example of skew. Skew means basically it's not going to intersect and they're not parallel, or not on the same plane, not coplanar. Let's take a look at this question here. We'll have multiple intersecting lines. The question asks, for questions 5 to 8, identify the angle pair relationship using the figure to the left. So angles 5 and 1. And if it helps you, you can just cover these up. Notice how this angle line and this line here, 1 is on the outside and 5 is on the inside. They're in the same position. Those are called corresponding angles. 7 and 13. Notice how I'm using this piece of notebook paper here to cover it up. 7 and 13, they're on the interior and they're alternating on the side of the transversal. 9 and 15. Notice how they're both on the outside or exterior of those angles, and they're alternating because they're on opposite sides of the transversal. Number 8, 3 and 10. 3 and 10 are on the inside. Those are called consecutive interior angles or same side interior angles. Question number 9 says, in 10, find the missing variables. So number 9, we drew on the board that this was right angle. So you can say vertical angles is all right, or they're perpendicular lines. So my equation is blank plus blank equals 90. That's essentially complementary. Substitute and solve and you'll get x equals 36. Question number 10. You have parallel lines. Here I have a linear pair, so that would be my linear pair postulate is blank plus blank equals 180. You'll get x equals to 97. Here you should be able to identify these are alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles are congruent, blank equals blank. Just subtract, add 13 to both sides, and you'll get y equals 96. I give you 3 points if you solve for one variable. Up here, equation incorrect, that would have been 4. Each of these are 2 points apiece. 2 points apiece. Each correct vocabulary word, picture, or equation in questions 3 to 7 were 2 points apiece. Number 1 was either 4 or 0, and multiple choice was 2 points. Question number 11 is only out of 4. And it reads, complete the 2-column proof of Theorem 3.2. So let's say, I didn't teach you guys theorem numbers, but it says given CD is perpendicular. Perpendicular means there's the right angle. So that's given. It says DCE is a right angle. Remember, perpendicular lines form right angles. That's the definition of perpendicular lines, not definition of right angles. And the reason why you know that is because in reason number 3 it says definition of right angle. Well, DCE is equal to 90 degrees. Right angles equal 90 degrees. Then it says the measure of angle DCE is 1 plus 2. That's angle addition postulate. The common mistake for students is try to write segments. Those are not segments, those are angles. Okay, if you notice what's the same in both of those, that's DCE. Every time you see DCE, write 90. Here's DCE. So instead of writing DCE, I'm going to write 90. So we did a substitution there. And when you have 1 plus 2 equals 90, that's the definition of complementary angles. So I gave you 3 points if you missed 1 or 2 of the blanks, 2 points if you missed 3 or 4, and then 1 point for trying. Question number 12. We didn't really practice this one, but I think essentially you can see it. It says complete the flow proof of alternate exterior angles theorem. Remember, if you're trying to prove alternate exterior angles theorem, it shouldn't be one of your reasons. Given line L is parallel to M, that's your given. If you look at your picture, trying to create equations off your picture, what does mean 1 to be 3? Those are corresponding angles. You have 2 and 3 here, that is vertical angles. What do you notice the same in both of those? That's 3. So every time you see 3, write 1, there's 3, right angle 1, you did a substitution. 4 points of all correct. If you missed one of those, give you 3. If you have 2 or 3 wrong, I give you 2 points. And if you missed all of them, I give you 1 point.